this is awesome. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Kim Barefoot in the Kitchen, where we cook real good food for real good people in my real small kitchen. We are making blueberry muffins today, but these are not your ordinary blueberry muffins. I'll get to that in a moment. It's a beautiful day here in Thailand. It's 95 degrees, which I think is 33, 34 for my non-American friends. Anyway, it is super hot today. You guys hear me talk about that a lot. It's really warm here today. And it's been a beautiful morning because I got phone calls from both of my daughters this morning, which is awesome. Oh, it makes me so happy. Thank you girls for phoning me. I really do appreciate it. Your mom loves to get your phone calls. And now let's talk about these muffins. They are a real hearty muffin. They have carrots in them. They're high protein. They're made with almond flour, so they really are good for you. This is a recipe that was designed by Shalane Flanagan, who is one of my favorite marathoners. She's just an amazing marathoner. I have a lot of respect for her and her running and how she can really stick with things. Anyway, this is her recipe that we are making today. They're called superhero muffins because after you eat one of these, it's like you're a superhero. I have one and then I don't need to eat for hours and hours and hours later. So they're a really good muffin for morning or an afternoon snack. It'll keep you going for a long time. I like to have them on hand after I run, to have one of these because they help to repair you right away, right? They've got good nutritious things in them. They're high protein. They are awesome. Now, having said that, they look beautiful. I sent a picture of them to a friend of mine when I made the test batch, and she thought they were so beautiful she set it as her screensaver for her tablet, which I thought was really cute, and it made me really happy. I took the test batch out of the oven, cooled them enough that I could taste one, and I was like, no, this is not a muffin that I want to make for my cooking show. It just doesn't have the flavor. And I put them aside, and I was kind of disappointed because, some really good ingredients went into them, and of course my time. And as they sat, the flavors melded together, and I had one the next day. I thought I'll give this another try, and they were amazing. Absolutely amazing. So the problem was not with the muffin, the problem was with me and my expectations. And then I started to think, you know what? This is a little bit like life. We run into a situation that disappoints us, and then we toss everything to the side. Where if we had have given it some time, all things resolve themselves, right? And I judged those muffins too quickly. They were beautiful to look at, but when I tasted it on the initial when it was still warm, it wasn't the flavor that I was looking for. But the next day, oh my goodness, it was amazing. It was really good. And I've since given them away to people, and they've said that they really enjoyed them as well. And so I do encourage you to make this recipe. But it also reminded me that sometimes we judge people, don't we? They're not exactly what we expected when we first meet them, or they do a little something to disappoint us. Don't write them off. Give it time. The next day you'll feel different about it. So this is a little life lesson. It's about cooking. It's about life. It's not about life. It's about life anyway. Don't judge things too quickly. Here's my message for today. Now, let's get on and make these beautiful, hearty, superhero muffins. The first thing we want to do is do our dry mixture, okay? And so for that, we want 2 cups of almond flour. Now, I can't get almond flour here. Almond flour is finer. I use almond meal, and it works out fine. You can use almond meal if that's all you've got. Okay, there's 2 cups of almond meal that's going into the bowl for our dry mixture. And And next we want 1.5 cups of rolled oats. So this is a beautiful recipe to make if you've got friends that are gluten-free. And as long as you're using gluten-free oats, this is totally acceptable. You can make this for your gluten-free friends. This recipe is vegan. It does have 3 eggs in it. You can use the flax egg, which is 3 tablespoons of water and 1 tablespoon of flax for each egg. And then you let it sit for 5 minutes. And then it acts as a binder, an emulsifier, so that's good. It has 1/2 cup of honey in it. And you can substitute the maple syrup for honey, and then this is totally vegan. It's great. And I'm just going to read you off the list of ingredients in case you want to get things ready and cook along with me. You're going to need 2 cups of almond flour, 1.5 cups of rolled oats, gluten-free rolled oats if you are going for the gluten-free one, 3 tablespoons of chia seeds, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 3 eggs, 1 cup of grated carrot, 1/2 cup of honey or maple syrup, the zest of 1 lemon, 1/4 cup of lemon juice, 1/4 cup of coconut oil, and 1 cup of frozen blueberries. Now, if you don't have chia seeds, you can make these anyway, not a big deal. What else in here? If you don't have a fresh lemon, so you don't have the lemon zest, that's fine. They won't just be quite as lemony, but they'll still turn out just as awesome. The coconut oil, use any oil, right? I would not recommend olive oil in these. Olive oil has got a pretty strong taste on its own, and you don't want it to overpower the taste of the lemon. You don't have blueberries? Fine. Substitute some other fruit, not banana. Because that's got more liquid content, more moisture content. So another kind of berry is just fine. Or you could even mix berries. Some blueberry and some raspberry would be pretty awesome. Okay, let's go back to what we're doing here with our pie mixture. We have 2 cups of almond flour already in the bowl. Now we want 1.5 cups of rolled oats. Do not use instant oats. They are too fine. You want the rolled oats that have got some substance to them. Let's just put that over here. If I put things back as I bake, then it's not quite so much cleanup in the end. Next, I've got 3 tablespoons of chia seeds. I can only get the black and white mixed. Use whatever chia seeds that you can get a hold of. They're going in here. We need some salt. I've got my pink salt here. Use whatever kind of salt that you can get your hands on. And this calls for 1/2 teaspoon of salt, which is not really very much at all. That's done. Okay, and that is our dry mixture. You know what I don't have written on my, there it is. I skipped right over it. 1 teaspoon of baking soda also goes in. Okay, that's what was missing when I read. I don't know why I skipped right over that. Okay, and just give it a stir. And that's done. We're just going to put that off to the side for now. And we're going to work on our wet ingredients. Okay, so in our bowl for the wet, we are going to add 1/4 cup of coconut oil, which is 2 ounces. Isn't that nice? That's not a lot of oil for a muffin recipe. These are super healthy. And then I'm using honey today because I am running low on maple syrup. Okay, and we want 2 ounces or 1/4 cup, however you're measuring today. There we go, of honey. And it's not a lot of sweetness. good. This honey. I love baking because as I'm traveling around, and you guys know that I do travel around, don't you? Here in Thailand, I pick up ingredients, and this honey was from a coffee farm. So the coffee trees need to be pollinated, right? You've got the coffee blossoms. And so he raises honeybees to encourage the bees so that he's got enough pollination for his coffee trees, coffee bushes, I think we should call them. And so he sold honey as a byproduct, and his honey is so delicious. Oh my goodness, it's so good. So I do love cooking because I get to touch these ingredients again that give me some good memories. Okay, so let's put our honey in with the oil. This is the start of our wet ingredients. Good. Okay. Now we want 3 eggs. Seems like a lot of eggs. About, if you're looking for protein, that's a really good thing. If you're making these vegan, go ahead and use your egg substitute or your flax egg. And I'm just going to break them up a little bit. Try to get that all incorporated. Here we go. Next, we are going to work on our lemon. We need a 1/4 cup of lemon juice and the zest of 1 lemon. Okay, so do you have your lemon? Go ahead and grab it now, and let's work on this next part together. This is the best lemon zester that I've found. Maybe you have a better one. This one is from IKEA, and a very dear friend of mine, Tiffany Bolden, bought this for me. And Tiffany, you've got 5 kids. You probably don't have time to watch my cooking show, but if you're watching, I do really appreciate my lemon zester, and I use it all the time, and I think of you every time I use it, so thank you very much. Okay, there we go. We don't have to measure the lemon zest. It is the zest of 1 lemon, however big or small your lemon is. That's all we got. And that's how much lemon zest. Oh man, I love the smell of lemons. And lemon zest is just so beautiful. Isn't it amazing that lemons, like it's not just the lemon inside that smells so good. That rind is so useful and delicious. Okay, and then we want to get all the juice out of here. We want a 1/4 cup of lemon juice, and usually 1 lemon is a 1/4 cup. Okay, I got organic lemons the other day from the local organic shop that has just reopened, and they were beautiful. And you know what? They did not have 1 seed inside. How excited was I? Super excited. Okay. Now I bought a strainer because it really is useful. I do a lot with fresh lemon juice. And it just strains out all of the parts of the lemon that I don't want in my baking. And amazingly enough, that is a smaller lemon than normal. Okay, that was a smaller lemon than normal. I've got just under 2 I've got 1¼ ounces. So I need a 1/4 cup or 2 ounces. So I'm just going to top it up with bottled lemon juice. That's fine. It'll be just as amazing. And that goes into your liquid. And we're going to give it a stir. And I'm just going to go over this. 1/2 cup of honey, 1/4 cup of lemon juice, 1/4 cup of coconut oil. So I only put in 1/4 cup of honey, and I need 1/2. So I'm going to add some more honey. And 1/4 cup. And that's why it's so important to always look over your directions again, especially if you're talking or visiting when you're cooking. And sometimes when I've made the recipe before, I think I know what is needed, when in fact I missed something. I love that, honey. Wow, that's good. Okay. So for the liquids, just again, 1/2 cup of honey, 1/2 cup of honey, the zest of 1 lemon, 1/4 cup of lemon juice, 1/4 cup of coconut oil or any other oil. Okay. Give it a bit of a stir. And then to that we want to add our carrots. And for the carrots we're going to add 1 cup. I really like this recipe, cooking with carrots in the muffins, because when you're grating carrots and you've got the carrots out, you might as well grate some extra. And then I put the extra in a container and put it in the fridge, and then I've got grated carrots for my salads for a few more days. And thankfully I have a food processor that does the grating for me, because I do not like to grate anything by hand. I always get my knuckles. Anyway, that's my story. Dry ingredients. Now we're going to add to the wet. And if you have not preheated your oven yet, go ahead and stop the video now and preheat your oven to 350. And we are going to cook these muffins for 25 to 30 minutes, depending on how hot or not hot your oven is. These look beautiful. Lovely. Absolutely lovely. So this is what the batter looks like. It's fairly thick. And the chia seeds are going to really thicken it up quickly. Now the last thing that we want to add is your berries. And that is 1 cup of frozen blueberries for me. And then just gently give it a stir, because you've already incorporated all of the ingredients. And the last batch that I made, I put in 1 cup of chocolate chips as well. So they were chocolate chip and blueberry lemon muffins. And you might think that that's an odd combination, but my goodness, did it ever taste good. Wow, it was amazing. Okay, I'm going to clear some space here, and then we're going to put these in the muffin tins. Okay, here we go. Let's get these muffins into the muffin pan. So with these muffins, you want to fill them right to the brim. Because they're not a light, airy muffin, they're not going to rise much above the brim. So go ahead and fill them up to the brim. When I made the test batch of these muffins, I got 14 muffins out of them. And I think it's because maybe there were a few that were not filled right to the rim. These are going to be delicious. And these are something that you can feel good about feeding your family at breakfast. Or when you're busy and you don't have time for breakfast. There are more than one flavor of superhero muffins. I used to also bake these as part of my little baking business. People loved them, and I got requests for them all the time. Will you please make me superhero muffins? Now, anyway, I tend to have some of these in the freezer at all times because they freeze really, really well. They freeze so good. And they're just a wonderful, handy snack to have on hand. And I am going to just fill these as full as possible. There we go. And if any of you are runners that are watching the cooking show, or if you cook with me, I really encourage you to try these muffins. They do give you a lot of energy, and oh my goodness, do they ever taste good with coffee. And they just plain taste good after you've been for a big long run and you need something substantial. Okay, here we go. These are going to go into the oven now for 25 to 30 minutes. Because they are so dense, they do take a while. My test batch, I cooked them for 25 minutes and it was enough. And so let's go. Let's pop these in the oven, and I hope that they turn out really good for you. I'll catch you in a minute.